seems like it was a good move, Peter, because one of those. Well, whilst we just talked about it down, the up came again. 2002 to 2004, you found yourself back up in Europe, and
Yeah, that was
and
it was a bit of a miraculous. It was amazing how it happened, really, because I thought I was gone from golf,
yeah,
and I was teaching in the late 90s, 97, 98, 99. I was teaching in doing some short game coaching in New Zealand, and Mel Tung, who's a great coach, I think, and a real asset to New Zealand back in the 90s, was he was the national coach, and he got me to come down to coach the national squad in their winter camp in the Manor Park. So I went down there every year and tried to help him out with. I passed on what I knew about the short game to the young Kiwis. Gareth Patterson was one of those who's and he worked hard on his game and his short game, and that's why he's been a good solid player all these years. And during those camps, and then Mel was giving me a few lessons but I was terrible. And he said that. He said, I couldn't believe how bad you were then. But he said, if you were willing to stand on the practice fairway all day, I was willing to coach you. So he really got me going again. And I think I must have gone to the Asian Tour School back at one of those years and to see if I could play a few tournaments. And I remember in 99, we're playing a tournament in Singapore. I still wasn't playing very good, like I was still horrible. But I remember when it was a tournament in Singapore, and a month prior to that, I rang my mate up from Munich, BMW tournament, and I said, would BMW pay half my flight if I came back and play one more year? And he said, yeah, sure, they'd love to have you. So they paid half my flight and paid for my accommodation. So that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to afford to go. And so I got back to Munich and I made the cut, which was miraculous. Finished 30th, made £5,000. Back in those days, it was worth about 15,000 Kiwi dollars. So that would have been an outstanding coaching week. Yeah. And I remember once I made the cut, I was talking to Sam Torrance in the bar on the Friday night, and he said, well, how long are you over for? And I said, no, just this week. I said, I'd love to play in Scotland at Glen Eagles next week, but, and he said, my management company's running the tournament. How about? And so he said, hang on a second. He rang them and he said, yeah, you're in. So I stayed another week, made the cut there and finished 30th, another £5,000. So once I was in Scotland, I rang the guys up from that ran the Swiss Open, there's the Barris family who they almost own the whole town in Crans-sur-Sierre in the Swiss Alps, but they own the tournament. So I rang them up and they didn't have any invites left, but Sergio Garcia, who was a young player at the time, he hadn't committed yet. So he said, he kept saying, ring me in a few days, ring me in a couple of days, ring me tomorrow, ring me this afternoon. So for the rest of the week when I was in Scotland, I kept ringing. And anyway, it seemed like it wasn't going to happen. But on the Tuesday of the Swiss Open, he rings me up and said, you're in. So I went over there and made the cut again. Another £5,000 for 30th place. So not outstanding weeks, but the way I'd been playing a few previous years, that was outstanding. And it was then that I decided to go back to the European Tour School, which I'd never been before. And I remember I was right on the borderline, 6 rounds of golf in the south of Spain in November. And in November in Spain, it's misty and it's raining and it's not the best weather. It's not like they normally have in the summer. And I remember I was right on the borderline in the 6th round, and I shoot 6 under par the last 9 holes to finish 15th. And from that, I got 10 more years in Europe, which I really think that really helped me. And then I played all the way up until I was 50 years old, and that really helped me play well on the seniors tour. So it was, things could have changed, been a lot different, but they all opened up for me.
It's interesting. I mean, you've played a lot of pro-ams, and you would have played with a lot of younger guys and older guys that have fantastic swings and grind it out and have great intentions, but perhaps never make it up onto some of those tours you've discussed. I mean, what's the difference? You've discussed a little bit of luck there. How does someone that's playing the pro-am circuit in New Zealand, graduate to that next step?
Yeah, I think these days the guys aren't playing enough. Because back when I started, there was Peter Senior, there was Mike Harwood, Wayne Grady, and a host of other, Ian Baker Finch. We all played, and we spoke about it now. I said we all played for about 5 or 6 years. We played 40 tournaments a year, easy. Wayne Grady, when he got his US Tour card, the tour school was his 22nd week in a row. Grind, we weren't playing for a lot of money back in the the end of the 70s and the 80s. So we were grinding it out, and that's where you get the mental toughness. We didn't have great swings like they've got now, and we weren't as strong and fit as they are now. We just ground it out, and we all say that after 6 years, the guys they haven't played 100 tournaments, haven't played 100 weeks. And I speak to a lot of them that are on the fringes, great looking players, and they said, "Oh yeah, I'm not playing any pro-ams, and no good for your golf." So they sit on their bums for 2 or 3 months before the tournament. So when the tournaments come around, if they don't fire up quickly, they just get left behind. And I think that's. So I love we didn't play pro-ams thinking that they're a waste of time. We thought we're on the tour. That's what you did, and that's all we could get into. So we played as hard as we could. As soon as we got in, once you get into the big tours, you can start, managing your workload then. But you've got to learn all the skills and the mental toughness, grinding it out. Like we were travelling around in trains, planes, and automobiles. We didn't. It wasn't very flash, but that's the way. And I think it was great for us. And and all those players I spoke about, they're all mentally tough. That's what you've got to be on the tour. It's great having a great swing and everything, but the mental toughness that gives you that pushes you in there. Like Greg Norman's mentally tough. Peter Senior and Roger Davis are the ultimate mental toughness guys.
Right.
Bernard Langer. Like Bernard Langer, he plays well now because he's the first guy there on the Monday morning practicing for the tournament, and the other guys just swan in casually on a Tuesday and that. But he's done a day and a half's work before anybody else arrives. So that's why he still plays well. And that's why Peter Senior plays well. Worked hard. Mike Harwood,
It's interesting, in chatting with Michael Clayton earlier in this series, he described you as one of the hardest working golfers that he's known. He said you would have been a professional nearly 40 years, and he said you probably played 40 tournaments a year for those 40 years.
Yep. Even since I've been a senior, I played about 25 weeks a year from starting in sort of June until the end of the year. So, and then I play about 10 before that. But that's our big workload. But like it hasn't hurt me, and I feel like I've got to work on my game. Golf hasn't. I don't feel like it came easy to me. I've had to work at it from the beginning. And, my old coach, Ian Alexander, he always said, he said, you've got to work hard. You've got to know that you've done it yourself. No one else is going to do it for you. And that's how I've been. And even when I felt like I was struggling, I still had my card almost 30 years in Europe, So I've seen some fantastic players never have a tour card, and so I'm pretty proud of the fact that I've had a tour card for so long, and even when I felt like I was struggling.
So you've touched on the seniors, and you're playing a lot of seniors golf now, and you've played seniors golf really well, as well. You've had seven victories, is it up on
seven victories in Europe? Yeah,
and one just very recently. Was it 2009?
Yeah, I won in Seychelles in last December. So that was great. That was great work, as a 60-year-old. So that I was pretty pumped with that.
And what keeps you driven? What's what keeps you jumping on the plane and heading up to Europe and turning up on the Monday and working hard?
Well, golf's been my life. I like to play good golf, and like I said, like it was never easy for me. So but I like to compete and play well. I just don't want to make up the numbers. So that's why I work hard. And one of the bonuses you get is you get to travel the world. If I didn't play golf, I wouldn't have ever got to Europe, or I wouldn't have got to America or Japan or Seychelles or Mauritius. Yeah. Last year we played in Madagascar for the first time. So that was the first ever golf tournament in Madagascar. Oh. So proud to be part of that. It's exciting, and all the people you meet. Got a lot of great friends from around the world, and without golf, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So, I wouldn't be living in New Zealand if I didn't play golf. So I understand that, and I'd like it to continue. My youngest daughter, she's a model and travels around the world. So she does probably more traveling than I do, but. I've got 3 kids living in Sydney, and playing golf, I can get to travel and see them all and meet a lot of people.
Yeah, nice, Peter. Well, Peter, it's been fantastic chatting to you. As Mike said, you're a hard-working individual, and that's certainly come through in what you've said to us today. You're a proud Australian, but it's great to hear that you're also now a proud New Zealander. You've won national opens in the respective countries. You've won in Europe. You've won on the seniors tour. You still sounds like you're knocking out 40 tournaments a year. For that reason, Peter, it's been wonderful to talk to you. You are a legend of the links, and we look forward to welcoming you back to Paraparaumu Beach, and perhaps walking down 18 with you and seeing you pull that one iron out again and relive some of those special memories that you've had at our place.
Yeah, hopefully we can get a senior Legends Tour event down there at Paraparaumu one year. That'd be great.
Yeah, it sounds good.
But, well, obviously I love living in New Zealand. Obviously played for Australia in the World Cup, but on the Legends Tour we have the Nagel Charles, which is a match play tournament, Australia versus New Zealand, and I've played for New Zealand in that, and we won that I've won that a couple of times. But that was great fun.
I bet your mates love that.
My Aussie mates didn't like that at all. But anyway, it was great fun.
Good on you, Peter. Take care, and we look forward to seeing you on the links at some stage.
Thanks, Leah.
Cheers.